Hi,
Hey, Hugo, buddy, how's it going, man? It's been a while.
how are you?
Good. How about you?
Good. Everything working here in Colombia. Thank you. I want. Can you please give me the link of our YouTube live so that I can follow if we're live here in my super monitor that I have here?
So you need the link for watching it on YouTube.
Yes, as many
I
people are doing at the moment, I imagine.
yeah. I think I just sent it to somebody. So let me see if I've got it handy here somewhere. Uno momento, por favor. Sorry, folks.
Okay.
Um, I've got the link for the channel, and it should be very easy from the channel. Where's the chat here? There it is. So in the chat uh, for YouTube, I already put in the private chat. In the public
Okay.
chat, I mean, you see it?
I see it.
Cool.
Good.
Yep, there
Okay, man.
you
How are you?
go.
So we're
Good,
gonna have
man. Good. What?
how we have this the information on YouTube in below your name here at
Yeah, I
our.
see. Nice touch, man. That's awesome. Good job. And
Okay,
we are also on Twitch, by the way. For anybody curious about there, but our following on YouTube is definitely much larger.
okay, good. So today's podcast, we have something planned, super interesting to talk to you guys about basically the basic stock market, investing, and some tools that we can use to solve one of the key problems that everyone has at the beginning of their financial life, which is how do I start? How do I start work investing? That's basically something that we want to discuss today. And we have a couple of ideas for you in order to do that, right?
Yep, that's right. When you're right, you're right. So, are we ready to get started then?
Go ahead.
Okie doke. So, Ugo and I were thinking about it, and we're talking over when we were preparing for this one, and thought, what is something that a lot of people would find challenging or difficult to accomplish? Say you work at a pharmaceutical company, or you're fresh out of college, or you're retired from the Navy and you're playing golf in Florida. I mean, you can be literally anyone, um, and find this I think this a very easy way to catch up to everyone, because and by everyone I don't just mean our generation. I mean more like people that know are in the know, because the world of investing is incredibly complicated. It's not simple at all, and if you don't know what you're doing, not can, you will lose not just everything. You'll even lose the shirt off your back. Like the Wolf of Wall Street, the movie, that is not a joke. People have had much worse problems than than that. And it's anyways, the point is it's a really hard area to navigate. So we thought, who best to help us than artificial intelligence. So I got,
Yeah.
if anybody can guess whoever or whatever or is my background, then you'll get a shout out and a kudos.
No, that's not me, unfortunately. I don't know. Maybe I'll have it later. But what it is, can you tell us, or just wait
I
until
will.
the end?
If nobody by the end of the stream, if no one's able to figure it out, then I'll happily share.
Okay, that sounds good. So, um, we were discussing about which topic can be really interesting to start our conversation today. And also, we were speaking about our personal goal in terms of finance for an experiment we want to conduct doing this podcast, right? We really want to make this interesting. I mean, it is not only about talking. It is how can we really make, I mean, like, put our money where our ideas or our artificial ideas are better. So one of the first points of start of that is saying, um, what is everyone's goal? What is a clear goal that we can have for a time horizon of, let's say, 2 months or 6 months or maybe 1 year? I think this is experiment to be interesting. Should be something about 2 months. Ethan, I don't know what you think about it.
I don't know.
So
I
basically,
think 2 months might be a bit of a short horizon
no,
because
yeah,
we're not
but we have to show everyone what we're doing. I mean, but the
right.
idea what we want us to do is basically saying something like, okay, we will invest. I mean, we will have some ideas here on how to invest money. Then we will do that, and then we will see what are real results of that. That's basically a plan that I think is super interesting. So we have to
Yes,
start saying, okay, what is our expectation in terms of investment return?
but
That's
I think 2 months is not a a. I was gonna say we're despite in the past in the previous episode, everything I was saying about billions. I am not Bobby Axelrod, so we are not dealing about short
I
plays
am not
and
ChatGPT, but we'll take some
and
ideas of that from there.
I'm not. We're not gonna be shorting this stock or that stock. We're gonna. 2 months is not enough time. You need to have at least 3 to 5 year, as you know, to Ugo, a 3 to 5 year term if you even want to think about making a decent return on your investment if we're looking in the stock market, right? But that's something that you and I know, but the common some random person may not know. It's a common mis idea or misinformation, like to do that. So, and that's also all part of this exercise, right? Is figuring out how do you learn all that. So,
Well, the
um,
question is, I mean, I want to show some results here in the coming months to make this really interesting. How, I mean, with that, what you're saying is completely right. I agree completely with you. I mean, it is impossible to have, maybe not impossible, the word is not impossible, but really challenging or really complicated to have good results in short time without taking like enormous risks, which is basically one of
you know what,
of
Ugo? This could
the
be a
name of the
really
show.
amazing discussion for its own podcast. Actually, the idea around long-term investing and versus short-term investing and the pros and cons, because each one has, there are reasons to do the short term and there are reasons to do the long term. So that could be its whole idea. But just because we have our time allotted for our thing, why don't we get started with the actual exercise? What do you think?
Go ahead, let's do it.
Awesome. So yeah, man. But just to finish on your point, right? Let's see what's realistic. But honestly, who knows? Maybe within weeks, months, it doesn't. We'll see how quickly the returns are. But I have a feeling we're gonna start seeing very interesting things. But you never know. That's the whole
You
idea
know,
of the experiment, right?
while you were speaking, I was thinking about that idea of short term versus long term and all that. And I think it's important to mention maybe a little bit about ourselves, about our cultures, different like backgrounds. And everyone has, in finance in general terms, in life, but in finance is particularly interesting. Everyone has a particular let's say, focus to long-term investment or short-term investment. As you know, Ethan, I live in a country which is Colombia. It's a country where there's a lot of activity every day. There's a lot of uncertainty. Finance is really complicated. In the last, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 months, we have been experiencing a change in government that has literally, literally changed everything we had before that. So my own perspective towards investment is a little bit more risky. Let's say I have a risky, like I have a high tolerance to risk. So from the beginnings of my investment life, I have been experiencing with, for example, with stocks, with options, with instruments that are really, really high risk, which also implies high return. So that's something that is, of course, I'm not saying that everyone in Colombia is like me. Of course, I know many guys like, I don't know, family that are really, really conservative to invest, that only invest in fixed income assets and things like that. But it's important to say that in this conversation, probably you will show more, like a more conservative approach, and I will show a more like, aggressive kind of, of approach to investment. But I would like to know more about your story,
You think
or
so? You think that's how it's going to turn out?
I mean, I am thinking of my story, because, for example, my first investment, I remember I told you before that I used to work in a bank. So as an investor, and I was working the financial floor of the bank. So basically, I had access to a lot of information, but also had a lot of limitations in the types of assets that I could invest. And the reason is basically that in our legislation, someone that is involved in the market has to be limited to invest in the same type of asset that trades in the market. For example, I used to trade in currencies and fixed income assets, in bonds, and basically fixed income assets. So I couldn't make those transactions in the market for myself, but I could make other types of transactions. And so I started doing stock transactions and also derivatives transactions, like options over stocks. And
Yeah,
that you
that
will
that's
see
an area
in
that I never
normal
really
case.
was able to get into.
What?
I never bothered to really get in. Not bothered is the wrong word, but I guess actually I've always been intimidated. Rather is the right word. Intimidated to wade into those areas of options and futures, and I always just found it just made more sense to me to like deal in like concrete, real world stuff like stocks of real companies where I can see their financials, analyze their history. Like I can, as opposed to like I know it's not, but like kind of feel like it's guessing or trying to predict the future.
I
I
know.
don't know.
I mean, for
I'm
me,
totally
I
ignorant on
remember
that.
my basic strategy towards options, for example, stock options, was like, okay, like deciding which stock to pick. Like, for example, I decide to buy, I don't know, Apple stocks, and then once, or buy or sell, what is the direction of this asset, Apple, like the asset itself. And then from there, trying to maximize my opinion on that, or my decision on that, which is, it can be buy or sell, with the help of a derivative, which was an option. So that's basically what I have done in the past. And Ethan, I have lost a lot of money, and I also have win or gain a lot of money. And the reason is that I used to take a lot of risks. Now that was years ago, when I could manage to have some risk tolerance, and then life changed. I have two kids. I have to pay schools. I have to, you know, so I am not taking the same kind of risk today, basically because it is not possible for me. Like
That's
that's
right.
not my profile.
There's a whole a risk category where it's analyzed, right? And when you're in your, when you graduate high school, graduate college, your certain risk category, which is like almost no risk, and then
Yeah.
you've got like light risk, which is like in your 20s, 30s, and then you get into your 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's a different each stage. You whether you're talking about investing in retirement, whether you're investing whatever you're investing in depends on your risk tolerance and what your goals are. So that's
But
a
I'm
good
really
point.
curious about I'm really curious about your preferences. Can you share with us a little bit about what is what is your preference towards risk in general terms? And I'm more curious related to your like what have you learned, from your family or from your friends or about which kind of investments are are better in general terms? Because
Well,
that's
you asked me a lot of questions there, Hugo. You got to give me one question, and I'll give you an answer.
first question, only question. Are you, what is your tolerance to risk? Is high,
What is
is
my
low?
risk
What?
tolerance? Okay.
Yeah.
What is my risk tolerance? I have I have two words for you. Axe capital.
Please be more concrete. Be more specific.
Seriously,
So you
like
think you have a high tolerance to risk?
I do, yes. When it comes to investing, I prefer to go risk over with reward, which is why I don't risk much. But when I do risk, my risk
Okay.
tolerance is high. That being said, of course, there like I said, it depends on the purpose of investing is, right? But if if we're talking about investing, for my retirement, then yeah, I'm gonna be as aggressive as possible, like all the way to the aggressive side. Um, and that's just because I have a very long range. I hope, please God, I hope I have a long range for that to, even if it did take a turn for the worse, it will have time to eventually, because and this is something that's pretty well known amongst uh, people that are experts in the finance field, that there's a book called The Intelligent Investor, written by
Yeah.
Ben Graham, and
Ben Graham.
he talks
Like
all
he was a
about
professor of Warren Buffett. No, he was. I think that
correct,
is the
yeah,
same.
I think they had something to do with each other. I don't remember the exact details right
Yeah.
now, but uh he had a, what was I saying about him? I forgot.
I interrupted you and you forget. Come on, man. That
I
you
know.
were this. We will be interrupting each other.
No,
So
no,
let's
I don't feel bad.
do
This happens to me literally all the time, man. All the freaking time.
No, but
Uh,
you were saying that there was this book about the intelligent investor related, I
why?
don't know, long term. You were speaking about long term, we were speaking about risk and risk
Oh,
tolerance and the fact that you are more aggressive when you think in the retirement, and that you started reading this book, something like this.
yeah. Well, either way, it's a great book. You should definitely read it.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm sure there was a very good reason. If I think of it, I'll remember. But
we
that
have a
this
friend in
happens.
common.
It's
We
a
have a
feature.
friend in common that used to have an office here in my city, and
Yeah.
has a lot of books of himself in the office. One of those books is The Intelligent Investor, and I think that he's this person that we have in common is a someone really successful as an investor. I think.
I have no idea. No idea what their
I have
investment
no idea as
account
well,
looks
but
like.
yeah, but I have heard about that book to probably five people,
I
and
mean,
everyone,
it's
all of them
literally
are.
like
It's a
have
great book.
the Bible of finance, literally,
Yeah.
or
You know what
investing
is the book
rather.
about, or what is the kind of, or what is? I haven't read the book completely. I have a reference of the book because of other books as well. It is about value investing, which means you buy forever. Like a good company, like a really good company in a really known or predictable sector, like for example,
I mean,
this is
dude, the book is like this thick, man. You can't say it's
yeah.
just. It's not just value investing. That's like saying, you know,
No,
the
no. But the value investment is a concept, which is
right.
basically you don't invest for speculating, you invest for life, and that's basically the school of Warren Buffett. They Warren Buffett, as far as I know, buys companies forever. He makes a really good valuation of the company, decides, and after making a lot of valuations, he see where the theory is that the market shows a value that is independent. The stock price may be independent of the real value of a company. And sometimes there's a lot of opportunities when the stock price is low compared to the real value of a company. Real value means the expected cash flows of the future of that company. But the market is crazy, and there's a lot of companies that were down the last 2 weeks, basically because of things that are not absolutely related with those companies, because of the banking situation and other things. So the investors are paranoid and decide, not don't decide not to invest in those companies, but the company itself is healthy. So in those cases, this book you're mentioning speaks about the valuation. That's the reason it is called value investing. Investing is because is really understanding the company or understanding the financials of the company, and be a little bit agnostic to the price, the market, the price that the market is putting to the company, basically because those are two events that in sometimes are completely divergent, or the company is overpriced or sometimes it's subpriced. In those cases, it makes a lot of sense going by the company. I interrupted you again, I'm sorry, please continue.
That's okay. It's humbling to see what it's like to when you do it to other people. So I do it all the time. So it's okay.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
We'll go, as they
Man,
say,
but we
what
had
goes
a
around comes.
plan to speak here on some topics, right?
Yeah. So what I was what we had discussed and talked about was, um, right. So let's say I'm somebody that doesn't really know much about investing or whatever, and you wanna get into investing because I talk to friends a lot, that some of them, a lot of people are smart about the stock market and investing. A lot of people have no idea. I remember when I didn't know anything about it, even though I have lots of friends who, they went that's what they did in college. They studied economics, but I did what I did. And so the my point is, if you don't know what how do you know, how do you get to a point where because our goal here with the podcast is to uh get out the word that AI can help you with your
Yeah,
financial life in a way that that we can't even yet understand, but we at least can help guide the direction and see where it goes. And so that's what our journey's about, right? And in this case, we're gonna try and use artificial intelligence, in this case through large language models of AKA ChatGPT, and we're going to ask ChatGPT, I want to get into investing. What would you recommend? What should I do? And we're going to go from there. So let's get to it and see what ChatGPT says and take it from there. So I'm
and
gonna.
this is totally basically what ChatGPT will say. I mean, we don't know that. We don't know what exactly ChatGPT will say, and we'll try to mix
Uh,
it to our own experiences
yeah.
and to previous ideas. Considering that something super important as well that I want to mention you before you start talking to ChatGPT over there is
All right.
that we, I mean, one key part of this is that today is way easier to learn about something than what it used to be, let's say 5 years ago or 3 years ago or
Oh,
something, just
definitely.
because
Yeah, absolutely.
so if your goal is to learn how to invest, now today is way easier. It's really, I mean, there's a lot of alternatives right at the top of your hands in order to get more information there. So go ahead with our genius in the room.
All right. Our genius ChatGPT. So, hi, I am interested in learning about. You know what? Let's even make it simpler. Hi, I want to get into investing. I don't know anything this about investing. What would you recommend I do? Now, as long as all you got to do is sign up for a free account. I am using the paid version, ChatGPT Plus, because I love it. It's just a guilty pleasure, I guess, if you could call it that. But they have a totally free account. You don't need to pay a dime. It's totally free, as far as I recall, right now, unless they changed it recently. And uh, you just literally ask
Yeah,
it the same way that I'm asking it, as a human being would, right? So
yeah. The good thing is that you're using some prompt engineering or prompt,
in this case, right
which is
now, I'm
you're
not.
giving, no, but you're giving him a lot of context before asking a general question.
You know what?
It's
That's
super.
fair. You're right. You are absolutely
Yeah,
right.
that's good. Yeah.
You're right. If you look at it that you're right. I guess I do it so much I don't even think about it. It's
That's
affected the way that
important
I
because
think and speak.
it's not only about, I mean, it's important to know that depending of the kind of the context that you provided, the way in which you formulated your prompt, it will be the answer that you will receive. The
Right?
better
Correct.
you formulate it will
So
be better for
if
your
you
own.
wanted to break it down before we ask the question, there is I'm a user, so I'm speaking to it conversationally, so that gives it a certain context. Hi, I'm saying hello to it. I want to
Yeah.
get into investing. That's my top prior. That's the subject. Okay. Well, I'm giving you information context about myself. I don't know anything about investing, so don't make any assumptions. Like, don't assume I know
Correct.
what the SEC is. Don't assume I know what a stock ticker is. Um, then we ask it for the task, which is to recommend for us some steps or things for us to do in order to be able to get into investing and learn about investing. Right.
Yeah.
So let's see what
Perfect.
a good old ChatGPT
See, yeah,
says.
that's a
And
general one.
just
That's
for
what we have.
the geeks in the room, this is using actually GPT-4, so it's the latest model available right now on ChatGPT. No plugins yet. So let's see what it says. It's great to you want to get into investing. Well, okay. So educate yourself. Duh. Okay. Start by learning about investing concepts such as stock, bonds. Okay, that's not practical though. But okay, let's leave the top level. Education, setting your goals, which we can talk about what we did for that. Determine your risk tolerance, right? That we talked about that. Create a budget for investing. That's an important topic to talk about as well. Choosing an investment account, develop a strategy. Okay. But what we want actually is some practical next steps. So let's say, great. Can you recommend some practical next steps?
Yeah, like the first step, like where should I go the first, right?
Okay.
Wow, wow. This is really
Speaking
nice.
of, so for
Yeah,
those are
I'm speaking
listening,
of,
the very first thing it recommended as a practical next step is to read the book. Get surprise, surprise, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham.
and I think you and I should read that book
I read it
tomorrow.
painfully, excruciatingly once, and
But you
I
said
don't
that you
want to
didn't
do it
read it
again.
because it's too long.
I read
You read
it,
it?
and that's why I know it's so
Wow.
long. That's why I know
I
it's
have
so
read
long because
about
I
it.
read it.
Honestly, I remember. I have read about it, but I think this is super important to do, man. That's our first step. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't
What
see
is? Wow.
here anything that is remotely what I thought it would be. So despite what Hugo said, I actually did test this out earlier, just in preparation for the
Try to
podcast,
express
and
our
it.
listeners.
I'm sorry, I deceived Hugo. It's my fault. Um,
Okay.
but um, I uh, I asked it some questions before, so I said it gave one of the ideas it gave was, simulators, like stock market powered simulators. um
Wow.
and so I don't know if something like this exists. We haven't looked into it. If there is, we'll look into it. But there are indeed stock market simulators, and there have been for quite a while. It's something that is very common, and it's I personally used it a while ago when I started learning, just to kind of understand the basics, the ideas, how it works. Because there's a lot of things that you don't necessarily know or think about if you want to get into investing. So it's a great place to be able to do it without having to actually risk any real kind of actual money. So um, so then that's what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do is we're gonna say we're gonna ask ChatGPT to tell us. Oh, you know what? I just realized why I gave us a different answer, because I used GPT-4 this time. When last time I used GPT 3.5. That's why. But we're gonna have ChatGPT do the investing. So it's basically investing on behalf of ChatGPT. So we're going to add this tab in here. So what we did is we signed up for an account for with Investopedia. They have a stock market simulator that does exactly what we were talking about. Where if for those of us that are watching us live, it says you have $100,000 in virtual cash that you can play around with. Now, ordinarily, I don't have that kind of cash. I don't know about you, Go. Most people don't have that kind of cash just lying around. Hey, here's 100 grand. Why don't you just invest this in the stock market? But
Yeah.
that's what they give you to seed, as in for for investing. So we're going to use that and see with AI, as in with ChatGPT, or we might find other means, other tools out there that are leveraging artificial intelligence to help, but to help inform the decision, not for it to actually execute the trade, not for it to be an automated bot that will execute trades for us and
That's a
automate.
different use case. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm just clarifying, right? Something
Yeah.
that's a tool that helps us to learn and to invest. So let's see. So let's go through and see. We've got next. We have this can let us look at our portfolio. That's cool. I actually have never used this particular one, so this should be interesting as well. Where we can trade ETFs. We can analyze and research our data. And this part is the fake part, where there's a leaderboard with other traders, and you can see who does the best, because everybody's probably a lot of people use it to also test out theories and stuff, because it's I don't remember. I could look at the details later, but I don't remember if it uses yet the previous day's closing as the data, or if it's a combination of that and what people do here. But they somehow they make it fair. But we can look at that later. What we see here is our portfolio. So we now have a portfolio of $100,000. Oh God, I wish. um,
Wow. Yeah.
so Ugo, what
Is it?
what
I
what?
mean,
Sorry.
just a question before we move on. This landscape works well. I mean, it's it visible for everyone? this land. I mean, I'm trying the layout of the screen. Yeah, I think it
Is
could
that
be a
better?
little bit. I think so. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, bigger.
Okay.
So what
So
was your question before I interrupted you?
so I think we'll ask ChatGPT, but first maybe we should kind of ask the question to ourselves and see what ChatGPT answers. So question is, what is the very first thing we should do, considering, let's say this was our lucky day and we got the jackpot, we got 100 grand lands in our lap, and we want to invest all of it in the stock market.
Hmm.
What do we want to do with it? Well, sorry, what is the first thing that we want to do before we start investing?
If you ask me before asking ChatGPT,
Yeah.
what I would say is that we have to define or decide what is the time frame that we are thinking. Like, what is the our time? Um, yeah, what is the expected uh, time frame for our investment? And that is also related to what is this for? I mean, is this for your kids' education? Is this for a house you want to buy in the future? Is this for something additional? Is this for, for so I think that the first question should be something that ChatGPT can answer for you. Like, is something related to what is this about? What is the objective of this money? What would you say?
See,
Say, I will play. If you ask, if that happens to me, we went to Vegas and I have 100K in my laps to invest. I would say I want to make sure my kids will go to college. And that's something that will happen in 2029, like, 6 to 7 years from now. So my expected return should be in that time frame. So that's the first thing, and
you went
that means.
like 10 steps further than what I asked.
Oh wow, but that's the first question, man. What are you
No,
doing
it's
with the
not. The
money?
first question, what is the first question?
We have 100,000. You have to know what is that for. That's for me. That's the answer, man.
What, right? And your answer is to put my kids through college.
Yeah,
So
I need. Maybe I'll
so
have
the
to make
question
a
is, what
calculation
is the
of.
goal, right? What is the purpose? Why
Yeah.
are you investing the money?
Yes, correct. I'll have to make probably a calculation on what is the expected cost of that college in the future.
No, but
Let's say
before you
the
get
number is
to
something
calculating
like.
that, it's more
uh,
more fundamental than that, right? You go, it's more fundamental about what is the goal, just in general, right? That's the first question. Is you've got 100,000. Okay, now what is your goal? What do you want to do with that money? What do you want to achieve with it? In your case, you want to use it. Let's say it takes for putting your kids into college 500,000. So
yeah,
you need to achieve 500,000 or whatever it costs to put your children in through college. That's your goal.
yeah, and in 7 years, which is also clear, because that's the expected time that it will take for the kids to go to
Okay.
college.
So if somebody listening to this is trying to make something this practical, and just to make sure that this is absolutely clear, this is not at all financial advice.
Oh
This is
no,
not anything legally binding. We're not telling you to do anything.
we're
This
just
is what we're
here.
talking about. What we would do, and if we were to advise our own selves, that's the context of what we're talking about here.
Uh-huh.
So, in that spirit and context, um, the the question you say is, what do you want to do with the money, and what is the purpose? Because that, and the time range, because that is going to define ultimately how you will use the money.
Yes.
What I think? What do I think? I think what is the first thing that I need to do, or question I need to ask about the money is that was a good answer, Hugo. So I need a second to think on the spot of what I would what would be my first the first step before investing the money would be um I would say first I would analyze if yours is definitely a very good one and that is totally a fair one. But if let's say you chose not to do that, I would say I would analyze first the different markets and see at the time right now what is favorable, right? Is it favorable to be trading in futures, or is it, which I personally wouldn't do, but if you have that kind of thing, is it better to be in corn and sugar in the commodities markets, or is it better to be in stocks, and if so in foreign or domestic, etc. So but again, you and I, we're kind of like, we're at least somewhat savvy in terms of our understanding of what we would want to do with money should we were invested. But let's say we weren't, it wasn't you and me, it was somebody that hasn't necessarily done this before. So let's see let's pretend like ChatGPT is that person and see what they would do. So
Okay.
for a um what would you suggest as a first? No, you know what? How about this? Let's
Like
give it a
you are a first time investor or something,
hang
right?
on. I have $100,000 that was given to me tax free. I am considering investing some or all of it. What would you recommend as the first step I should take? Well, first it says congratulations for receiving a tax-free gift. um, I don't know why it gives me all these answers. I asked for one, so let me stop it and not regenerate. Stop. Let me say, and just one step, please. Okay, so one important first step you could take is to assess your financial goals and risk tolerance. Just like Hugo said, this will help you determine the most appropriate investment strategy for your situation. Consider factors such as your age, time, so like your age, because like I was saying before, depending on if you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 50s or 60s, and your time horizon. Maybe you need to pay for some kind of surgery or some kind of I don't know, for whatever reason. So you have to have a certain time you have to pay
Or
for
like
that.
in my case, that the time horizon is clear, and it is based on something that is likely to happen in 6 or 7 years.
Right. And things like your income, your expenses, and what do you want to do in the future? Maybe do you want to have kids? Do you, if so, how many? Because that definitely impacts your financial situation. Additionally, says ChatGPT, evaluate your comfort level with risk. I, I feel like that's a little redundant because it said your risk tolerance, but okay, as this will impact the types of investments you consider. Once you have a clear understanding of your financial situation and goals, you can begin to research investment options, and develop a plan to invest your money. Okay, well, so your goal. So if we were to role play this, Ugo, um, your goal would be to to take the $100,000 and be able to send all your children through Ivy League school, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Exactly. Right.
Mine would be to become the next Bobby Axelrod.
Okay. You will spend a lot of money in education or in producing in houses and parties and things like that.
That's not true, man. He's anyways. Let's not get into that. So,
Okay.
but I considering the fact that yours is more of a much longer time horizon, like 20, 30 years or something, is usually what
Oh,
you
no,
talk
no.
about when you start that.
But
Usually,
my time horizon is like 7 years.
um 7 years. Well, but I'm saying for the average person, right, that's getting started.
Ah,
Let's see. What would you recommend for time horizon for a average American middle class salary? What would you recommend for salary if they wanted to put four children through the median, not median, through the typical Ivy League tuition, uh, tuition for a bachelor's degree? Time horizon for putting four children through Ivy League. Bachelor's is very factor. Sure, sure, sure. Um, Assuming an average American middle class salary and the current cost of tuition, a time horizon of at least 18 to 20 years may be appropriate. However, so basically, ChatGPT is estimating 18 to 20 years. So let's
yeah.
just say be conservative and say 20 years minimum horizon is what an average American middle class American would need to save for average family of four. So, in your case, it's different, of course, but that's a longer term horizon. However, Bobby
Yeah.
Axelrod is always in it for the short 3 to 6 months, and I don't. I think it would be interesting as an experiment, but not to spend 20 years on the podcast to see.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
So,
thinking. Like,
right,
I expect this podcast to be successful, but I'm realistic. Like, in
yeah.
20 years.
So what if we asked ChatGPT? What do you think of asking ChatGPT, as if we were, ruthless, uh, uh, hedge fund managers?
Okay.
In
I would like to
fact,
see what they say. I mean, what
in
ChatGPT says.
fact, in fact, if since this is trained on 2021 data, it has knowledge of, it should have knowledge of the Billions by Showtime. So why don't we say, use
You
Bobby
are
Axelrod?
Axelrod. You're
Yeah,
Axelrod. Yeah.
yeah.
You're
All
Bobby
right,
Axelrod.
let's do that. So, um, you are Bobby Axelrod from the TV show Billions. You are
Axelrod. Yeah.
the character Bobby Axelrod from the TV show Billions. You will instruct me on trades based on information I provide you. We will use a stock market simulator. All right, let's begin. Before we begin, please provide me with some information about the stock market simulator you like to use. Okay, we're using Investopedia. What is a starting 100K starting balance? What is starting balance? Like,
It
what is a
is
starting balance and length?
Investopedia, right?
What?
Investopedia.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
it's
and
better there.
what is the length of the simulation? The length horizon is, or length horizon, the time horizon is let's say 6 months. Additionally, please let me know what other specific rules, constraints, simulation should be aware of. Um, it must all be legal if you're being Bobby Axelrod,
It's
and
good to have.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
um,
a good verification.
and you need to not just beat the S&P. You need to crush it by 30 points on top of it. Let's see what it says. Understood. With a starting balance of 100,000 and a time horizon
Wow.
of 6 months, we will need. Oops. Time
Wow.
horizon of 6 months. We
He's
will.
giving us advice. Financial advice.
Hang on. Let's get there. 6 months, because remember, not every people are listening, not watching this. So, ChatGPT said, understood. What with a starting balance of 100,000 and a time horizon of 6 months, we will need to be strategic with our trades. Yeah, okay, of course. First, we need to identify sectors and individual companies that are likely to outperform the broader market over the next 6 months. To do this, we will need to analyze a variety of factors such as earnings growth. We should be taking notes. So I'm going to take some personal notes. So we need to identify sectors and companies likely to outperform the broader market. Okay. And then we need the things about the company that's important to analyze are the earnings growth, earnings, revenue, and uh, growth and industry trends. One sector that in particularly bullish on, right. Oh, right, because he's Bobby Axelrod, right? One sector. If only I could do the accent. One sector that I'm particularly bullish on right now is technology. With the world becoming increasingly digital, tech companies are poised for continued growth. Specifically, I think that the companies in the software and cloud computing space are likely to outperform over the next 6 months. So basically saying um, technology and specifically software and cloud computing. Um, with that in mind, I recommend we buy shares in the following companies. Microsoft is one of the largest and most profitable technology companies in the world, with strong earnings growth and a dominant position in cloud computing. That's not wrong. It's getting there. I believe Microsoft is a strong buy at current levels. Oh yeah. Well, after this, we should tell it what the stock price is and see if it still thinks that.
I will tell you that right now.
Yeah. Can you look up what the price of it is?
288. I mean, the last closing today is
Like
the last
two
one that
hundred?
I'm seeing is March 31st of 2023. This was last Friday, and it is $288
Yeah.
dollars
I
cents.
was curious the other day because honestly, I remember when I lived in New York. It was like right. I think it was right around the time that the current CEO took over, and he the stock price then was like 30-40 bucks a share, and I,
What
I
was
knew it
that?
was a good buy, but I was bootstrapped cash wise at the time, so I didn't. I wish I would have invested, man. Like the growth just in that time, because that wasn't that long ago.
You
Is
remember? You remember more or less when was that?
I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But anyways, we're coming up on time here, so let's try and finish this part, and then maybe next week we'll just continue this because I think this is a really cool idea. I want to actually start trying it.
Yeah.
And you
So
know what?
Microsoft,
Let, let,
Adobe,
let's get through this, and then let's execute our first trade, just so we can see something next week when we do
yeah,
this again. Okay,
good,
all
good.
right. So it says basically it's recommending Microsoft, Adobe, and Salesforce. Okay. Additionally, I recommend we take a small position in Tesla while the stock has a volatile ride over. Okay. And it says these should help us
This
outperform
is
the
2021, right? Like this is
yeah,
data. I mean, this advice
correct,
considered from
correct.
2021. Yeah,
But if we weren't rushing up towards the end of the mark here for the time, we might have some more dialogue. But you know what? Let's just buy we won't spend all of it. We'll spend some of it on Microsoft because I think that's actually a smart play. I think honestly, personally, I think Microsoft is a very good company to be invested in. Well, I guess it could go either way, honestly, depending on uh, various factors. But let's see if I can figure out how to trade here. Okay, there we go. Market closed, right? So that's something a topic we can cover. If anybody has any interest, please put a comment below. Happy to cover all these kinds of things. If you see these things and you don't understand, what they are, let us know. We're happy to make maybe a video about that. But let's say the symbol is going to be Microsoft, and now we get a little quote. So there we go. Like you said, Hugo, it's $288.30.
yeah.
And I wish it was like Google where it gave you like the graph. You could see it over time here, but maybe it does. Oh, there we go. Okay. So um um so the day's high, day's low, that's not that important. The 52-week high and low, that's interesting. So oh wow, it's gone all the way up to 315. That's incredible.
We have 100K. So he's only recommending to buy three stocks with that number. So
Yeah.
that's a good question. I mean, we will spend the full 100K in those three stocks, or will you say we should, like
Well, I
invest
think I think the
30%?
real what we should really do is not do all that, because I think like we know that it's limited to 2021 data right now. So I think we need to do a little bit more, have a bit more conversation. But because of like you know a lot of factors, everything from ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot, and all the things that are coming out about the AI and stuff, and how they basically control OpenAI and are leading the market and kicking Google's butt. I cannot see them slowing down um, as a company in general. I mean, if we look at like the 5-year term, so like yeah, like on it, like so yeah, it was somewhere around here when I was when I was looking at the price, around $40 a share. And then since then, like just look at it, like even just in forget about that, a 5-year time horizon, down from less than $100 to
Yeah. Wow.
300, over 300. That is nuts.
That's
So
a really solid move. I mean, like having that stock has been just great.
right. So let's see if 288. Let me pull up a calculator real quick. Let's say we've got 100,000 and we're gonna invest. Let's say I don't know 20% of it, right? So about 20,000. So
Okay.
20,000 divided by 288. So let's say around 70 shares. Let's see if we can get 70 shares. Whoops, did not mean to do that. So quantity. Man, I wish I could just buy 70 shares of
Yeah.
Microsoft at that price. Wow, that'd be amazing. Day only doesn't really matter. Um, why doesn't it give me order type market? Yeah, we'll do order type market. We can talk about other kinds
That
of
means
order
that
type later.
tomorrow. I mean, probably we won't get that the number, like the
It'll
288.
it'll be
Like that.
close. It'll be different, but it'll be close. Like probably
It will
within
be
cents.
what we're saying is we will buy 70 shares at the price at the market price of tomorrow. At the opening
Right.
probably at the
Look
it
at
will
that.
be
Isn't that
like
nice? No commission. Huh.
yeah. Oh,
All right. Buy market order for Microsoft Receiver. Receive shortly. Hopefully this works the way that normal brokerages work, where it puts it in for the immediately next available day. So
mhm.
yeah, there we go. It's pending. Good.
So, question: Are we investing also in Adobe as it was suggested by ChatGPT?
Well, maybe next time
The
we
other
might
time?
invest in Adobe, but I think
Okay,
that
let's
for
see how
now,
how this works. How this works next week then.
yeah, let's see. Let's just so now that we've put a little sprinkled a little bit into Microsoft, let's see firstly how Microsoft performs, and then we can also start getting a bit more into the topics that are important to understand also because while we might get some great recommendations, it's also important to do the legwork and understand what needs to be done. So we want to learn that side too. So but yeah, so this was great, and I want to thank everyone for that tuned in to listen. If you're not a subscriber of the podcast, then please feel free to like and subscribe. Please the to this YouTube channel, or if you're on Twitch, onto the Twitch. Um, I know I said this last time, but I am when as soon as I can find the time, hopefully we'll be trying to get this onto all the different podcast platforms. We've been doing some research. This is Ugo and I's first time, so we're gonna get there, and this is gonna be coming to a podcast store near you very very soon. So with that,
Okay.
Ugo, what's your one pick for today's podcast?
My one pick is that we should, we just would like to investigate, to research about what's available for in AI for this. And doing that research, this is something that we will speak next episode. This is a tool that has some previously one of the main challenges of any first time investor is knowing which stock to pick, because the universe of stocks is enormous. There are a lot of stocks in the US market. So this particular service that I also was advised by ChatGPT, Stock Rover, gives you some ideas, some what it's called screener from all the possible stocks that there are in the market. There are some of those stocks that you know accomplish with some particular um, characteristics. For example, you can find some stocks that have dividend growth or that had a large capital value. So you can create your own screener, or you can go by the screeners that are pre-built here. So this is something that we will see in more detail next week. But this is also another way in which we can leverage AI. So a healthy combination, Ethan, my take for saying goodbye now to our listeners is a healthy combination of artificial intelligence and your own, like, your own criteria, your own ideas, your logic, is something really nice to start investing. So we hope to be useful in that process for a lot of people, right?
Yep. And for my pick, I actually forgot to think of one. So I am brutally honest. Let me think real quick of what is a top. Yeah, here we go. I would say meetup.com is a excellent website, excellent app service. I went to a meetup this past week. It was about a meetup on generative AI, which was really fascinating, also related to the podcast. and it was cool meeting people that are also into it as much as I, and even more. I mean, I was probably one of the stupidest people at that meetup. Like, those people were really friggin' smart, like PhD, like neurological whatever's, like all the fancy words that you would use for, like, quantum computing and artificial intelligence and stuff. Like, there's one guy who was doing research into time travel.
Wow, man.
So
Interesting.
yeah, meetup.com is an excellent place to learn, to network, to find out about what's going on. So I highly recommend that.
That's great, man. Thank you for the recommendation.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and until next week, we bid you farewell, and hit the subscribe button, notifications. You're good.
Great. Ciao.
Bye
Goodbye,
bye.
everyone.